Hey everybody, we are back with another VR game that we've saved from the depths of nothingness. This is Lost Cities, based on a game by Rainer Kinzia, I believe. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. This one is pretty interesting. So this one was originally released as I think this is officially, from what people say, this is the first VR board game to release, and Oculus partnered with them at the time to release this inside Oculus Rooms, I believe, on the Go. Now, Oculus Rooms doesn't exist, of course. That was delisted on the Go. It was like a little living area with games and stuff, board games and things you can do. That doesn't exist. Lost Cities originally came out on the Gear VR before being added to Oculus Rooms, and it is no longer available as well. This one's interesting. There was a lot of buzz around this. A lot of people really seem to like this one. Ars Technica, Upload VR. A lot of people said a lot of good things. Now, this is based on a beloved card game. I'd never heard of this before, but apparently it is an award-winning tabletop card game, Lost Cities. Now, this is a little bit different. It's a little more simplified than the card game. And as you can see here, if you know the card game, you know what's involved. I'm brand new to this, and I lost all these games that you're going to see in this video. And I didn't know how I would like a VR board game, but I was kind of hooked on this, and I'm actually glad that we found this one and saved this one, because this one is a blast. And now it's no longer available on the Go at all. It was delisted, and I don't believe you could find it on the Quest or the Quest 2. We did some searching on that. So I believe this is not available anywhere, and that is a huge shame, because people in the reviews really love this game. They said they've played it for years, once they figured out the strategy. And now, at the time, this was a multiplayer online game. So here in this saved version, you're only going to be able to play against bots, the AI, which offers 3 unique tables. This is Neptune, as you can see right here. I don't believe you can get the online functionality working. I'm sure in the future we may have a way to do that through a server or something like that. But for now, you can play it with the AI, which is just fun if you want to jump in to Lost Cities. So about the game, like I said, this is my first time ever playing it. And I really enjoyed it. Essentially, it's a math game. Now, it looks pretty basic here because it's color coordinated. The actual card game, your job is to find lost cities, and you go on expeditions, and those expeditions cost money. And so along the way, you are trying to lower the cost of that expedition mathematically, so you come out with a net positive. Now, that's where the trick comes in and the strategy comes into play. Now, the board game, the card game, does look gorgeous. Each of these colors represents a different expedition. So one has like mountains, one has like lava. They're very cool, and they are, you have these numbers that you are seeing me stack onto these expeditions, and those are represented in cards in the real game with these fun little pictures and stuff. So the cost of each goes into play, but how do you play it? So I'm going to try to explain it as best I can. The tutorial is included in this game, so if you're brand new to it, play that a couple of times, kind of get used to it. We jumped into it once and then jumped into this, but the more and more you play, the easier it's going to be for you to understand. So you can use one of these tokens down here that you are dealt from the deck to start a new column, and each column here is a different color, and each one represents a different expedition that you are on. Your partner over there, your opponent, is on an expedition as well. So it costs 20 points to start an expedition. So you will start in the hole, I believe, -20 if you start an expedition. You place one of your tokens on there, and you will lose that amount of money, or a certain amount of money. The more you add, the more points you're going to get, and you can max out at the number 10. And once you hit 10, that expedition maxes out, and it gets totaled up into your score. If you leave it open, then those are going to serve as, I believe, negative points against you, and it's not going to be a lot of fun in that regard. So you kind of get the similar idea. I'll explain it in terms of the board game. As you can see, I've already lost that game, and it's going to bring us back to the menu if it loads up here. Yeah, so you have the tutorial down there at the bottom left, and you have 3 options. So we'll go to the second one. I'm not very good at this game, but I wanted to show you each world because I think the way they're depicted in this kind of voxel almost style, really simplistic, actually is pretty nice and engaging to be in. It's fun to look around. I'm not sure how smooth this is from the recording, but in game it was silky smooth. Everything was great. So I'm gonna read you the instructions. So you choose a card from your hand, or you choose a token from your hand, and you're gonna have 2 options. You can choose that token to start a new expedition on the board on your side, or extend one of your expeditions if you've already started this. To do this, you're going to place a token numerical face up or just onto the side of the board below the space of the discard pile. Now if you look at the middle of the section that kind of connects both tables, that is the discard pile for that expedition, and that expedition is a certain color, and only a certain color can fit in there. So blue can only fit on one, green can only fit on green, red on red. You kind of get the idea. So you can't mix and match, and you can't discard to another one. Now you can place an additional card at the end of each expedition. Each new card that you place into one of the colored expeditions must have a higher value than the most recent token that you placed in this column. So if you place a 5, like you saw right there, the blue token, the next token that I place into that column or into that expedition like that, 6, has to be higher. And that adds up and adds up. Now you want to max out to 10. Once 10, that expedition becomes complete and gets tallied up. If you leave open expeditions before the game ends, those are going to affect you negatively. You can see over there, I'm already negative, really down in the hole. And he has nothing. Now he has nothing because he hasn't started an expedition. You can see he's been throwing away tokens. Now you want to throw away certain tokens. There are money sign tokens, which are handshake tokens from the actual card game, and those will double whatever comes next for the rest of that column or expedition. So it's going to double up your score. Now that can hurt you real bad by doubling a negative loss, or help you if you can complete that in a timely manner. You can also double or triple up or quadruple up, I believe, those money tokens before you start an expedition. So if you complete that with a quad, you can destroy the game, or you can absolutely decimate yourself. Now that's basically the way it goes. Now when you discard, like I said, you can take one of your tokens and place it up on that little column, and it goes away. Now when you do that, it becomes available to the other player on their turn, instead of having to reach into the deck that you use, because once that deck runs out, that's when the game ends and the scores get tallied. So if he throws away, if I have like a 5 put down, right, and I want to continue that chain, and he throws away a 6 because he feels it's maybe too high and he wants to start lower, I can take that 6 and then add it onto my column. It sounds a little bit complicated. It's just really math based. But once you start getting the flow of that and the idea down, it becomes a whole bunch of fun, and there is some strategy involved to this, and it's a really interesting game. You know, the game ends, of course, as I said, as the player draws the last token from that pile, and that's it. In terms of a board game, I think it works really well. The AI seems to be fairly competent. Now in multiplayer, I'm sure this was probably a blast. It's really interesting. If you like math, this is going to be the game for you. If you don't like math but you like these sort of card games, it's not too hard to get into. It looks like a little bit complicated. There's a ton of videos on YouTube if you say how to play Lost Cities, and that will explain it far better than I can. But there is an included tutorial which does a really good job of doing that. And actually, after this recording here, I plan on jumping in real soon again, because it was one of the most enjoyable VR experiences, and it doesn't require a whole bunch. Now, this was for the Gear VR. It has support for controllers, so if you wanted to play this with an Xbox controller or something like that, you can. And so Anubis here has destroyed me. So we're going to head back to the menu, and we'll jump over to the third one, which is the Himalayas. Now, if we can find it there. So as you can see, it's head tracking. So once you kind of move that center spot over an icon or a selectable thing, you can click it with the Gear VR, the little button on the side, or if you're using an Oculus Go, you can simply click the trigger, and that works as well. And it's pretty simple. And because you're not really moving a lot, it's more than adequate, and it works just fine. I didn't have any problems with that. So let's talk about Lost Cities itself. This was developed, who developed this? Campfire Union was a developer and the publisher. This released in April 5th of 2016, so it is one of the earlier VR games. And I don't know what happened to it. The reviews seem to be very good. A lot of 5 stars, a lot of 4 stars. The people that did complain about it at the time were talking about the voice chat that doesn't quite work, and that the voiceover support isn't quite there. That's interesting. If there was adequate voice chat in this, I think that would have made it even more fun with friends or with strangers like that to kind of battle it out like that. But I'm not looking at it from that point of view, so to me it works great. A lot of people said they love this in Oculus rooms that they got together with friends to play it. And it's one of the better experiences early on in the VR space. Now, we aren't sure what went wrong or why this was pulled, but I do know that there was a Lost Cities 360 game that was on 360 Arcade that was also delisted. Now, I'm not sure if the same company did it. I'm not sure if there was an issue between the creator of this and the developers. I'm not sure if it was just a license issue that after a certain period of time it just went away. But the last news bit on this was a winter sale in December of 2016 where Lost Cities was 60% off. So I'm not sure if it maybe simply went away because it wasn't a huge seller. But Oculus themselves featured the game in one of their kind of big conferences when they were launching Oculus Rooms. So it did seem to have some support behind it, and then the developers were releasing information on each world, and it talked about future updates and all the like. So I'm not sure what happened or what went wrong. A game like this seems like it would be pretty simple to port over to Oculus Quest 1, 2, and all the other platforms. So it has to be almost certain some sort of licensing issue, because they just kind of went away. The website is still up. Their blog is still up, but their press kit is still up. But there hasn't been anything in years and years and years. And I don't know how much YouTube content of this there is. I'm sure there should be a fair bit from 2016, but there's a lot of good reviews and content, and people seem to like it. So I've never tried it, but when we jumped into it, we had a really fun time. I love the aesthetic of it. It's this simple, like, chunky polygons, almost PS1 kind of style. I do wish I jumped into this before knowing about the board game, so I like this quite a bit the way it is. But once you see that card game, once you see the cards in play, once you see the expedition columns in play, they do look much cooler. I believe they probably could have added on to that. But besides that, this is a fantastic experience, which is now saved. You can find it in the link below if you want to try it out yourself on your Gear VR or your Oculus Go through SideLink. So thanks again for watching. We hope you enjoy this one. We love saving old games. Let us know in the comments below what game you'd like us to track down. We already have some suggestions that we are adding to our list. So until next time, keep on playing, and we'll see you again in the next video.